Let's get reaction now from former NYPD Lieutenant Darrin Porcher. Lieutenant, this infuriates me. Nothing more, though, than the words of Hochul, governor of this state of New York, before and after actually bragging about safety in the subways. And I'm going to read after the attack and after they arrested this perp. Here's what she said. A suspect is now in custody for the horrific incident on the F train. Our brand new security cameras helped law enforcement find the suspect and arrest him. Well, it didn't stop this woman from being killed. Everything she does, everything that's done by her district attorney, a lot of the stuff that's done is just reactive. It's not proactive. It doesn't stop the crimes from being committed. It doesn't stop people from getting killed.
David, you're absolutely right. You're closing the gate after the horse has escaped. We don't want to arrest anyone. The base case scenario is us to be preemptive in law enforcement and prevent an attack from occurring. A lot of that evolves around omnipresence, meaning having uniformed officers on these platforms in these train cars so they can set forth a precedent that there's a level of safety in that subway. That's not happening. Unfortunately, the governor is not reading the room, and she's tone deaf when you speak to the testaments, the comments that she's making in terms of crime being down than the subways being safe. There's a lot more that needs to be done. And fortunately, Tom Homan, who's going to be the incoming border czar, had a sit down with Eric Adams, and it seems as if the two will have a cohesive arrangement moving forward as it relates to the deportation of migrants moving forward.
And, you know,
this is something that comes to fruition.
There is a lot of blame to go around. It's not just the governor. There's also DA Alvin Bragg has been so busy dealing with Donald Trump and things and Danny Penny, who was prosecuted by Bragg for trying to save somebody in the subway. I mean, just try to wrap your head around that. While women are being burned to death in the subway, this one guy steps in, tries to prevent violence from being done on fellow passengers, and he's the one who's prosecuted. I mean, this city, and again, it's not just New York. You see similar things in Chicago and L.A., wherever you have these kind of no bail laws and all kinds of rules that make it easier for the criminals to prey on the innocent.
You know, I can't agree with you more, David. When we look at what happened in Manhattan in relation to the Manhattan DA prosecuting Mr. Penny, it was clearly a miscarriage of justice because Daniel Penny was a person that was willing to step in and assist people that didn't have the ability to protect themselves. Daniel Penny stepped up as opposed to stepping down. But it sets forth a bad precedent in that people or common citizens would not be as willing to step in and help the needy because there's a fear of being prosecuted by the DA's office. So as we move forward, we need to uphold the social contract, but we have a radical district attorney in Manhattan that doesn't see it that way.
One other thing that's breaking the social contract is the opinion of a lot of the people on the left coming out in support of the accuser of murdering this United Health CEO. And they're even lionizing him on television shows. I want to play a couple of sound bites, one from Jimmy Fallon, the other from Saturday Night Live, mentioning the accused killer, and then you hear the audience reaction. Roll it.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
I love this show so much.
Thank you.
Let me say, James Luigi Mangione Fallon, you are...
Thank you.
Luigi Mangione dropped... Yeah, definitely woo. You're wooing for justice, right?
What do you make of them all making fun, them and the audience making fun of a guy who was murdered in the back, shot in the back and murdered?
I think this is really unfortunate, and we're driving forth a bad precedent when we look at shows like Saturday Night Live or Jimmy Fallon. This was a cold-blooded killer that assassinated a person on the streets of New York, and he needs to be treated accordingly within the criminal justice system. And when I look to these sympathizers, it begs the question of what is your agenda? We need to present a safer environment as opposed to an environment that allows people to act with raucous activity killing the CEO of U.S. healthcare. It needs to be recourse, and this is just something that's a clear abomination to what we should be on par with socially.
Yeah, as you put it, the social contract has to be repaired immediately if we're going to get anywhere in solving these problems. Lieutenant, great to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. Merry Christmas to you. Coming
Thanks,
up,
David.